Dallas Mavericks fans and MFFLs, what is up with you guys today? The Dallas Mavericks took care of business last night against the Brooklyn Nets. Final score, Brooklyn 107, the Dallas Mavericks 119. It was a game that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving were the spearheads of what the offense pretty much just took control of the game early on. I believe the team scored about 31 points in the first quarter. And to me, I'm going to say this is going to be one of those formulas. The games I guess I'll say one of the games that this team should use as a formula for how we should be playing going forward. Of course, a lot of this stuff is going to be based on what the team brings in, if there are any moves at the trade deadline, which is approaching. I believe tomorrow is the trade deadline. So the Dallas Mavericks are going to have a little bit of time to decide if this is a roster they want to move forward with, because there are still some guys that we're waiting on to come back. We're talking about a Derek Lively. We're talking about a Dante Exum. There are some players the Mavericks have not just had consistently in the rotation. Also, obviously, we'll say we already know that Kyrie Irving has missed some time this year. So we have not gotten to fully, get that experience of what Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are going to be or could be together, because since Kyrie Irving has joined the Dallas Mavericks last year, with that trade that sent Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith off to Brooklyn, we have not gotten to see Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic just be on the court together. And to me, there's been so much wasted time when it comes to just roster building and just that chemistry building between those two players. But we have seen there are definitely been some glimpses. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are showing up and showing out. And last night was no different. This is going to be one of those questions that is going to continue to be moved around. Ambulance going around outside. There's going to be some questions, of course. How well can Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving play off of one another? Obviously, we do know they both have scoring ability. We know Luka Doncic's playmaking ability, and last night was no different. But we're going to have to see what this team is. I'm guessing going to say, again, like kind of what I just spoke about, figure out what exactly this team still needs and if there are going to be any moves made. And then we'll be able to see what exactly Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are going to be together or could be together if we're able to kind of, pick up some momentum and kind of start of a little bit of a run right now, because the Western Conference is still logjam somewhat. The Dallas Mavericks sitting in the 8th seed right now. We're still around. Again, the New Orleans Pelicans are right above us. The Phoenix Suns, we're only about a game. I believe 2 games behind the Phoenix Suns right now and about a game and a half behind the New Orleans Pelicans. So the Dallas Mavericks can still move up in the standings, and I believe the Suns are also tied right now with another team. So the Dallas Mavericks still have some ability and potential to be able to move up in these standings if we're able to kind of just pick up some momentum and, like I said, start this train off on the right track. But before we get into that, last night Kyrie Irving showed that he still has some bounce to his game. Last night, an alley-oop from Josh Green, Luka Doncic to Josh Green to Kyrie Irving with the one-handed alley-oop slam. You guys have got to see this before we get into the game.
I learned that from you last night.
You learned it from me. You watched the telecast. Oh! Kyrie Irving! High flyer!
When you're looking at what happened last night, this was a game that Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic completely took over, is exactly what I'll say once again. Final score, Dallas Mavericks 119, the Brooklyn Nets 107. The Brooklyn Nets sitting at 20-30, 10 games under 500. The Dallas Mavericks sitting at 28-23, once again in the 8th seed right now in the Western Conference, a still very tight Western Conference. So although the Dallas Mavericks are playing well, of course you're still going to have questions. Can you do it against some of the better teams in the league? Because the last 2 opponents have not really been anybody that's just to sneeze at. Obviously, the Philadelphia 76ers are a much better team than what I believe against we played, because they did not have Joel Embiid. So they still had some players. Let's be very clear. They had some capable players. Talk about Marcus Morris, Tyrese Maxey, obviously. But the Dallas Mavericks are now still going to be able to have to answer some of these questions, because although you are now sitting on a 2-game win streak, which I don't believe they said we won back-to-back games in about a month or so, the Dallas Mavericks are going to be facing off with the New York Knicks next game. So that is going to be the perfect opportunity to be able to kind of just show that you're actually starting to build some chemistry and that this team can actually be something that can pick up a little bit of momentum going forward. But getting into this game last night, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. You can talk about Luka Doncic right now with 35 points, a +6 in the plus minus, 18 rebounds, completely crazy on the boards. And so many times you'll see on social media, you kind of hear floating around, is Luka Doncic actually that good at rebounding? Do his teammates kind of help him out? When you watch the Dallas Mavericks play, questions like that are exactly easily to be answered. If you're watching games last night, obviously, Dwight Powell is not a guy that you're going to be banking on being that dominant center, even in any, I'm talking about in any aspect of the game. He's not a nice, solid rebounder. He can play, again, we're talking about Dwight Powell's best attribute, I guess, on the court right now. We're talking about just his energy he does kind of bring here and there, but also offensive rebounding when we're talking whatever his tip out rebound is. But we don't have that solid rebounder that we have been yearning for so long now. Obviously, talking about a guy, Tyson Chandler was the last best I guess you want to say best rebounder when it comes to the center position, where you're banking it also and adding it into combination with being a defensive presence. Derek Lively can hopefully grow into that in the next year or so, in the next coming years, I'll say. But Luka Doncic last night, a beast on the boards, 35 points, 18 rebounds, 9 assists. Of course, he's getting guys involved. 13 of 27 in 43 minutes, 4 of 11 from 3, 5 of 10 from the free throw line. Not good from the free throw line. Luka Doncic has got to do much better than 50%. But last night, we did not need more than that. Hopefully, we can get rolling. One thing I will say about the game last night, you saw the Brooklyn Nets and the Dallas Mavericks that they played, the referees pretty much were letting these guys be able to be hit, be able to be banged up, be able to be touched on both sides, which is what I'm completely fine with, because growing up, that's what basketball was. It's very physical, and you're watching the NBA. But sometimes the biggest issues, of course, complaints come from when you don't feel like it's I guess I just want to say it's consistent on both sides of the ball, on both ends for both teams. But last night they let the guys play, and I love to see it because it showed a physical aspect. It allowed the Dallas Mavericks to kind of instill some of that physicality we're always kind of asking for, because it's up and down. We'll see it sometimes in glimpses in certain games, but we don't see it consistently. So last night was a great sight for that. Kyrie Irving, 36 points, 15 plus 15 in a plus minus. We're talking about 5 assists, 2 rebounds. That wasn't really what Kyrie Irving was spearheading last night. What he was opening up in 40 minutes of game time, 15 of 24 from the field on field goals, 6 of 10 from the three-point line. Kyrie Irving last night was a guy that was completely aggressive, and he was showing nobody can stop a player of his capabilities when he is rolling. And to me, what separates what Kyrie Irving is for this team is just being the fact that he has that other, I guess you want to say, that other aspect to his game that some other guys don't have. Obviously, we do know Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guy that's a volume shooter, and he's had a 40-point game. He's had some high-scoring games this season. I believe he's averaging, almost 18 points a game, or about 18 points a game as a sixth man. So obviously he has some value. I guess you want to say he has some valuable games for this team so far this season. But Kyrie Irving is just a versatile scorer. He can do it in many different ways, and that's not even adding in the fact that he is also a very capable playmaker for the rest of his teammates. So, but last night, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, it was a game that's pretty much as simplified as what it is. Those two players were the ones that led the show. Excuse me. Like I said, Tim Hardaway Jr. last night, 14 points in 25 minutes, 4 of 10 on field goals, 3 of 7 from 3, 3 of 3 on free throws. It was a nice, solid game from him. And also another guy, Josh Green, 12 points last night in 33 minutes. We weren't asking for him to really be that guy that we needed to be putting up 20 plus, 30 points or anything like that. What we needed last night was just a solid all-around effort from the remaining role guys around Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And Josh Green did a great job at that. I will say, already we do know the trade deadline is approaching, so I personally going to ask myself as a fan, is Josh Green going to be able to hold up with this? He's going to be able to be consistent with this? Is he starting to tap into a solid, the solid actual aspects of his game? To me, like utilizing the mid-range and just getting out in transition and that 3-ball. We saw many times big clutch shots in the last couple games, especially that Philadelphia 76ers game from Josh Green. But I do not want to see the Dallas Mavericks just completely take all options off the table just because a couple young guys are actually showing up. Pretty much, like I said, this was a game last night. It was pretty simplified. Obviously, you can look at on the other side. Mikal Bridges, I believe, 28 points last night. For the Brooklyn Nets. Spencer Dinwiddie, we know what Spencer Dinwiddie is to this team. For the Dallas Mavericks a couple seasons ago on that trip to the Western Conference Finals. But last night, it was pretty much a Mikal Bridges and a Cam Thomas here and there. Royce O'Neal hit a couple big threes for that team as the game went on until the Dallas Mavericks finally regained full control. So it was pretty simple. The Dallas Mavericks have just got to get healthy. That's the biggest thing. Already, we do know Maxi Kleber still last night with 7 points, plus 10 and a plus minus, because what Maxi Kleber has been doing over the last few games, which is, I'm not going to say right now, like I said, I'm not jumping on the Maxi Kleber bandwagon all of a sudden. I'm not hopping right back on there yet, because we have got to see some consistency if he remains on this team. But Maxi Kleber last night just did exactly what he needed to do. Be spotty, and again, kind of be, I guess you want to say, be a floor spreader, and he can kind of open some things up. Whether I believe he knocked down 1-3 out of 5 attempts last night, but just having him on the court and defenses knowing they have somebody else they have to kind of keep an eye on around the 3-point line is just big for this team going forward. So the Dallas Mavericks took care of business last night. It was as simple as that. It was just a nice effort. You are playing against a team that, again, that you have much better talent and much more talent, I will say, but it was a great job just to see the Dallas Mavericks actually be able to take care of their business and come out with a victory. And already we know that almost every night it seems like we can give Luka Doncic the player of the game. Last night was no different. 35 points, 18 assists, 9 rebounds for Luka Doncic. But the 36 points, Kyrie Irving, and the 5 assists that he poured in for this team was, to me, the difference, because we saw many times last night the Brooklyn Nets, they would completely abandon Kyrie Irving and completely just double team Luka Doncic, and we saw it kind of vice versa here and there. But last night you saw many opportunities for the Brooklyn Nets, and we saw so many teams, or we see so many teams, I will say, we see so many teams use that approach. They'll just completely double down on Luka Doncic and force the other guys to beat them. But last night, why I'm giving Kyrie Irving the player of the game is because of his ability to actually be able to knock down these shots when Luka Doncic is going to pick up a little bit more attention. Kyrie Irving is going to be the difference maker, and if we can just add in another couple big bodies and some another wing defender. But me personally, I want to add another big man, another 4, and not necessarily a 5. If we can find a backup big to a Derek Lively, then that's fine. But Maxi Kleber could be able to possibly fill in here and there spottingly. I still feel like Rashawn Holmes could find find a role on this team, if he does not hit the trade market. But that's always also still on the table. So we'll see. But I feel like if the Dallas Mavericks are going to be able to just completely maximize what Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving can bring to this team, we're going to have to just get a little bit more physical on our front court, I will say. Just help out when it comes to big men, because we see so many issues that arise for this team when it comes to just giving up second chance opportunities, not bringing down rebounds outside of a Derek Lively maybe, or a Luka Doncic and a couple other guys. Derrick Jones Jr. is a nice solid player when it comes to rebounding, and we're seeing Josh Green get a little bit more aggressive when it comes to rebounding. But if we can get a little bit more physical, like I said, a little bigger on the front court, got Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic, the sky is going to be the limit. The Dallas Mavericks took care of business again, 119-107 last night against the Brooklyn Nets. They will be facing off against the New York Knicks tomorrow, Thursday, February 8th at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. I believe this will be another nationally televised game on TNT. So the Dallas Mavericks are going to have to come in ready, because we know Jalen Brunson has been playing so well, and of course, we already have so much familiarity with that guy. But the Dallas Mavericks are going to be able to face it off against a tougher opponent in the New York Knicks, who are playing well. And now we're looking at, so we're still talking about some trade talks possibly in the air. You're still hearing names like Bobby Portis floating around. The Dallas Mavericks reportedly have some are very interested in Kyle Kuzma and PJ Washington reportedly. And the Dallas, but I'm not sure how real this report is, but it's kind of coming out right now, floating around, that the Charlotte Hornets are looking for Josh Green and a first-round pick for PJ Washington. If that's the case, if that's actually the deal, I don't want to touch that at all, because I feel like I can get a better player in the offseason. Do I want to waste the rest of the season? No. But at the end of the day, you're also going to be able to have more assets during the offseason, during this summer, because now we can turn one of those one first-round pick potentially that we can use right now in trades will possibly be 3 first-round picks. And then you're looking at kicking the tires on some of these guys you may not want to get rid of in a Jaden Hardy. And it's because it's already also being tossed around that the Dallas Mavericks are kind of reluctant to get rid of a guy like Josh Green. Maybe they're just seeing some development in him and they don't want to throw that away too soon. But at the end of the day, I feel like you have got to maximize Luka Doncic. He is now in year 6. You do not want to hit year 7, 8, 9, 10. I said yesterday after recapping that Philadelphia 76ers game, you do not want to go back and forth and end up looking up. And now Luka Doncic has been in the league for a decade. He still has not sniffed a finals appearance because you have not, as a front office, done your due diligence in actually building a team. I don't want a front office that consistently just falls in love with players excuse me, you can have personal feelings, of course, with guys, but at the end of the day, this is about making this team as well-rounded and as good as it can be, because we do need to see some playoff success outside of just that Western Conference Finals run, which, again, that's nothing to blow our nose or sneeze at, but at the end of the day, Luka Doncic, we should be seeing that almost every year. Kind of the situation we're watching, the way the Boston Celtics kind of do things. You're seeing constant playoff success. That's what I feel like should be happening around here with the capabilities and just the generational talent of Luka Doncic, and also now adding in just what is that assassin in a Kyrie Irving, a healthy Kyrie Irving, we're going to hope for. So the Dallas Mavericks are still going to be in talks right now. Like I said, trade deadline is tomorrow. We will see if some moves are made, but I appreciate you guys for all the support. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.